right, Dave Stevens again on Radio Row, and we've had so many of these ugly old football players, the stinky guys, all sweaty guys. I thought we would kind of class it up a little bit for this afternoon, bringing in a friend of mine, Mindy Scheier, who runs Runway of Dreams, which of course I had the pleasure of being a part of that amazing event in New York, and the award that Lee Steinberg gave me, and then now here I'm in LA and I get another award from Lee Steinberg. So it's a pretty crazy time to be here. But Mindy, thank you for joining me, taking time out of your busy day. Literally, I said, I need you. And you said, okay, you got 15 minutes right now. We did it. So thank you for joining me from your home back east. And so what's going on with Runway of Dreams these days?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm enjoying watching you this whole week. You're doing an amazing job. So Runway of Dreams will be coming to LA for our first ever. What? Oh, did I lose you?
No, you're there. It's just you.
Here. Okay. For our first ever West Coast runway show. We classically have our big show during New York Fashion Week, in which we have over 60 models with all different types of disabilities, ethnicities, ages, wearing mainstream product from brands like Tommy Hilfiger, Zappos, Target, Kohl's, JCPenney, Ride Right, all in the adaptive space. And actually, as you mentioned, we had the great joy of having you on our runway during New York Fashion Week. And now we're bringing it to the West Coast. And no better place to do that than Los Angeles. The event will be on March 8th. Tickets are still available if you want to go to our website, runwayofdreams.org. And then there will also be a global premiere on March 15th on YouTube. So we are so excited to be able to show that people with disabilities, of course, are people first, but really do care about how they look, fashion, being in the spotlight, and we're putting them on the best road possible, and that's the runway.
Well, I know I've been getting grief here for my choices of clothes. I wore a tie and everything yesterday, and everybody was looking around going, wow, why are you all dressed up? What, do you got a job interview today? And I was just like, no, I have a friend who's taught me how to dress a little better, carry myself a little better. So it's been fun to actually start thinking about my fashion as opposed to just throwing on a Walmart t-shirt or something like that. But you are such a pioneer in this industry as far as this is something that's never been done before. And as I've run into people and told them about you and opening up these parents' eyes to what you went through with Oliver, it's still such a great thing. Yet, why don't more people know about you and us now that I'm a part of you?
It's a great question. And the reality is that when we partnered with Tommy Hilfiger in 2016, we made fashion history by developing the first ever mainstream adaptive clothing line, which is now Tommy Adaptive. And it is actually pretty bittersweet to think about that it took us until 2016 to think about the largest minority on our planet being people with disabilities, and a minority that every single one of us will be in potentially at some point in our life, whether that's just getting old. And I think to answer your question, I think in a relatively, especially in the world of fashion, short amount of time between 2016 and where we are today in 2022, the fact that I can name 7 mainstream brands, global brands, that are in the adaptive space, that are putting people with disabilities on the front burner is huge stride. But we have a lot of work to do. And that is to the tune of, I think every single brand, every single industry should have adaptive options for this population. As if it works for people with disabilities, it works for anyone. And just that notion of the fact that technology plus design equals accessibility. It's a pretty simple kind of mathematical equation, so to speak, that it is something that ultimately will help the world.
Mindy Scheier, the CEO of Runway of Dreams, runwayofdreams.org, joining me to talk a little fashion and brighten up our show. I was just curious because the great crossover, and I'm wondering when this is going to happen, because you also have your modeling and talent agency that you guys have. So how are we going to get our people into those 7 clothing designers, their commercials, their print ads, and to get that crossover working where then people can see the results of your work.
Absolutely, because as you know, if you can't see it, you can't dream it. So that is something that was really the genesis and the need to create my second company, Gamut Management, which is a consulting and talent management company exclusively for and with people with disabilities, because we need to really change the way that people with disabilities are viewed, marketed to, designed for, and certainly in the public eye. And that is something that we at Gamut are really working night and day to be able to change that landscape.
And it's working because this old man, I had to turn down a 2-day shoot with American Express because they wanted me here on Monday and Tuesday in Colorado. And I'm like, I gotta go to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, no. So I know it's working. If they want an old fart like me, I mean, you must be doing something right. So
I think they probably saw your dance moves on the runway. I think that's probably right.
I think that's how I tore up my rotator cuff again too. So I might have to retire from doing that. But you also have some big stuff again later this year. The New York. You guys are already working on New York, correct?
Yes, we are. So our big kind of crown jewel event is during New York Fashion Week. This year, it's going to close out New York Fashion Week on September 12th. And it really is our kind of involvement and true inclusion in the fashion industry to be a part of the biggest and most important kind of show in fashion, in the world of fashion. And the notion that we have gotten bigger and with more brands and more models every year and more exposure from PR and social media is evidence that the world's listening and acting on it, even more importantly.
Absolutely. Well, Mindy, I know you got to get back to the real world. But thanks for taking some time with us. And again, just, you have changed so many lives as a parent, as a fashion designer, as a spokesperson. And I just hope that you and your family and your beautiful son Oliver continues to inspire and change the world, because one person can make a big difference, and that's obviously what you're doing. And you surround yourself with so many wonderful, talented people that I know I'm gushing here, but I'm so proud of what you're doing and what it means to my world, but what it means to all those normal people out there, that are worried about how can my son or daughter be more comfortable in what they're wearing,
exactly.
Or all these types of things that they have, if one foot's longer than the other, or they have a club foot, or if they have muscular dystrophy, or if they're missing legs. I was fitted for my beautiful Tommy Hilfiger suit, and I looked good. I didn't look like a sloppy old middle-aged man. So if you guys can change me into something, you guys can really make a difference. So thanks a lot for taking the time to join us, Mindy. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate you as always.
And I'll see you from the runway at the Lee Steinberg party and see how good I look.
Wait, congratulations to you.
Thank you. No, this is about you. This is about you. So, all right. Don't forget, runwayofdreams.org. Go in and visit it. And again, it also has the links to the sites and the companies that are a part of this amazing transition. So this is Dave Stevens joining you from Radio Row. Nate Boyer joining me next. We're going to talk a little bit about the movie MVP and the stars that were in that and how much I cried in my popcorn. So stay with us. This is the last day of me here at Radio Row. Dave Stevens. I'm missing it, but I'm ready to go home to Connecticut and see my sons. We'll see you in just a bit.